Welcome to Mediumship Sparks, where we connect more deeply with spirit and source and follow the sparks of insight and inspiration that bring us greater awareness, healing, and just more flow into our lives. I'm Noelle Dean, intuitive medium, licensed therapist, and your host. A quick note before we begin: this podcast is for educational purposes only and provides general information. It is not medical or psychological advice and is not a substitute for care from a licensed health professional. I'm so grateful we get to step into this. Hello, welcome to this episode of Mediumship Sparks. Today's a big day for me. It is the Empath Alert. It is the 1-year anniversary of my sister Lisa's passing. My sister and I hadn't spoken for about 11 years before she passed. I wouldn't say we ever had like a great relationship. We bonded over a lot of negative stuff about family members, our mom in particular. And that was never a healthy dynamic to sort of fester over negative stuff. I just think that was the only way we knew how to really bond with each other, aside from talking about possibly decorating or her cooking. We lived far apart for the last 19 years of her life. And I hadn't seen her in a long time, aside from hadn't spoken with her. I didn't even know she was sick until about 3 days before she passed, where a cousin that we're both close with broke her silence that my sister swore her to tell me that she was even sick at all, and that she had a prognosis for the cancer that she was dealing with, that she was not winning the battle. My cousin didn't know how poorly she really was doing, and then got a phone call from my sister's husband 3 days later on August 24th last year. I think he just said she's at peace. So there's a lot of unresolved issues and like mystery around why maybe she didn't really reach out when she was dealing with cancer. I had dealt with cancer 10 years earlier. I have said this many times. There was a lot of dirty water under the bridge. Anyway, pretty much right after she had passed, I was able to connect with her. People have different theories about waiting periods or the person in spirit being available. The day after she passed, I flew out to see our mother to break the news to her. And that was when I really more connected with my sister to bring messages to my mother, and then connected with her myself quite a few times. We spoke quite a few times when she first passed, when I was at my mother's house. And it was very interesting to me that she was always with a family member. And I got from one of our grandmothers, she called herself a supervisor, but it's been very clear the times that I have sensed my sister around or we've spoken, and we haven't spoken very much. There's always a family member with her. So a grandparent or her father. We have different biological dads. That's been interesting. And it has felt very protective for maybe both of us, probably more me. I could still feel there was the word contentiousness is coming up from my sister towards me. One of the cool things, beautiful things about spirituality versus maybe like organized religion where you have a handbook is that of the spiritual people that I've ever met, everybody has really different ideas about what they feel or resonate with as being true. And I'm not going to tell you what I know to be the truth, but I can tell you what feels like the truth to me. So my impression was that my sister was not washed of all of her emotional entanglement stuff when she crossed. So having somebody around to support both of us to connect was actually a very compassionate and smart idea. I've spoken with other people's loved ones who seemed cleansed of a lot of the emotional bullshit that they had between them when that person was still walking on earth. But that's not been the case with my sister. What she has shown up for a lot, which I appreciate, is when I've done podcast recordings, I have a sense of her and our maternal grandmother being in the room, which has been pretty cool to feel supported in that kind of way. But I haven't really tried to connect with her a whole lot. I have my own opinions of what I think people in spirit are doing, and they have jobs and they are busy and they may be around, but how much they want to be accessible. Like me and my phone. I want to be on Do Not Disturb quite a bit sometimes because I'm focused on what I'm doing, and I have that sense of them as well. So I don't tend to willy-nilly call somebody who's in spirit to come and connect with me just because. I want to laugh at myself. I've actually sucked at that with people who are still here wearing pants, still in a body, but I'm getting better at that. But with people in spirit, I just feel like I want to respect their space and time. I respond most of the time when somebody is here to visit me. I haven't initiated this with my sister, but a couple of days ago, when I was anticipating this anniversary and thinking about her, I asked if she would be willing to do a podcast episode with me, which I've asked her before. Like when she first crossed, I did ask her because I was very excited to hear about what happened. What was that process actually like, as well as to understand where she was at emotionally. It feels weird to say that, but anyway, yeah. And now it's a year later, so I'm sure she's probably in a very different place. So this is all very planned, but I want to say impromptu. I don't know if that's the right word, but anyway, it's going to be a genuine conversation. I have some things in mind I'd like to ask her, but I'm going to see how it goes and really work to just stay in the flow of it. So as I was opening up my chakras and grounding, I had a visual come to me. First, I thought it was going to be her, but then it was this whole circle of our relatives, and especially our paternal grandparents we were the closest with when we were kids, and just very gentle, caring, kind people. For me, they still live as the template of safety in this way. So that was really nice to see. And I had a sense it was a big circle. So we'll see who comes through. As I was opening, I was getting visuals of my sister. So I live in San Diego and she lived in San Diego well before I did. And we both lived here at the same time for a while. And I don't remember us doing any of these things, but I was getting visuals of us having done certain things as adults. That part was clear together. So I saw her and I walking around this really nice park that's in San Diego. I saw her bowling as if we were bowling together, playing adult softball, which frankly is not something either of us would have done, but it was a cool picture to see. Creating these candlelight evening dinners together, maybe outside, and even a visual of us sitting together across from each other, holding hands and looking to connect with these same grandparents. So these are the grandparents I'm referring to are Mama and Papa. The maternal grandmother that she's often shown up with is who we called Grandma. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. And if you do mediumship, I don't want to plant the seed of what I think should be difficult for people or is difficult for people. But one of the things that's been the most challenging for me in mediumship, especially in a situation like this, where it would be really easy to anticipate or project some negative feelings coming from the other person towards me, it's tricky to be objective for yourself at all. So it's a little bit iffy with my sister because there's a part of me that expects a little bit of like a jabbiness from her. And I did get some of that when we first connected, when she first passed. But the nice thing was, I have a friend who's very connected to me and picks up on stuff about me. So as I was out walking this morning connecting with my sister, I woke up to the song Fire and Ice by Pat Benatar. So I'm listening to the song, and there's this one part where she's singing about the other person doing something crappy to her. And I probably even said out loud, "Oh, so that's how you see me, that you're the victim of the things I did to you." And just as I was saying that, my friend had texted me a meme. There was a little kitten, and it was a pink background, and to my sister, I'll always love you. It was really contrary of that moment that I was having. And I'm so grateful for that because it set me straight of my projection of negativity is very different than what was actually happening. One other thing on my walk, and I was thinking about her, I started getting from her happy birthday in heaven to me and singing, like celebrating. There was a lighthearted feeling to it. Now you're caught up on everything that I've gotten so far this morning. If this is the first time you're listening to or watching the podcast, I'm going to use mediumship. I'm going to have a conversation with my sister. You'll likely be able to hear the pace of my voice sound a bit different when I'm telling you what she's saying versus what I'm saying. I think I talk faster when it's me and then a little bit slower when I'm picking up on somebody from spirit. I hope it doesn't get confusing. I try to say now she's saying this so it's clearer. My intention with any kind of mediumship is to narrate exactly what I'm experiencing. So I'm hearing this, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling aware of this emotion or this kind of awareness. Most of my senses come into play. We'll see because I haven't done much connection with her. And with each person you connect with in spirit, it can be a little bit different. Is there anything else? Yes, she's reminding me that when she was happy birthdaying herself this morning, I did ask her to wait to connect with me until we were doing this recording. So I wouldn't get confused about what we spoke about earlier versus what we're going to talk about now and think that we're repeating something. So I'm supposed to read my disclaimer. Not that I'm giving anybody any advice, but here's my one breath disclaimer because I'm a licensed therapist. The information presented on the podcast is educational in nature and is provided only as general information and is not medical or psychological advice, nor is it a substitute for seeking licensed healthcare services. And thank you for that reminder. My sister and grandma is also here. Part of why I wanted to share this with you is because we all have, or a lot of us, have some interesting family dynamics. And when someone passes and things are unresolved, that can be like extra painful. I realized recently the biggest sadness I think I have about my sister's passing was that at the end, I never got to be there for her and support her while she was. I was really mad about that at first. And now I think I'm just still sad because it would have been really nice to have reconnected in a compassionate adult way that I'm capable of now that I didn't get to do. And that would have been nice. And I would have done anything to make it nice for her. Okay. She says now they're caught up. Okay. Oh, and I don't want to forget that she considers herself the fun one. So if she tries to keep it especially light, that's, I don't know that she was really the fun one, but she liked to think that about herself. And she wants to lighten me up during this episode. Okay, I gotcha. That's what she said. All right. If you're watching this, I typically experience people in spirit on my left-hand side. So if I turn to look, that might seem weird because I don't actually see her, but it's just an impulse. It's just what I do. Okay. Okay. And she's hanging on to the word impulse. I will say thank you or thank you for sharing that, which is also an impulse, but she's saying that I am a please and thank you girl. That's true. Okay, Lisa, you ready to get started? That's so cute. So she just showed me this visual as if she's a podcaster and she's got like a headset on with and like a microphone and she's got a whole fancy setup. That's adorable. Okay, let's do it that way. I love that. She wants to, I'm seeing like the word professional underneath her visual of herself being this way. Yeah, okay. Treat it like a professional interview. I'm getting from her to treat her like she really has something to say. Okay. She's starting out with saying, first of all, I was long gone before my death date. I had exited my body a few months before breast cancer stole my life. I was waiting. I'm seeing the word waning, like waxing and waning. Now she's showing me a visual of herself in her bed, looking like she's feeling really awful, like nauseous and drained. My impression as she's laying there is that she was half here and half like ready to exit her body. Am I getting that right? Okay. Now the visual change to her without hair. And just this morning, so this is me just saying this, but just this morning I had a conversation with our cousin that we're both close with. And it was the first time she mentioned that my sister had lost her hair. My sister loved her hair. Loved. She was I think, a typical Leo and enjoyed her mane very much. And that must have been, she's showing the word discouraging. Yeah. And she's saying, believe it or not, that she was ready. I appreciate her sharing this. If you're going to connect with your loved ones who've passed, or maybe you already have, you'll likely have the experience that the things that you are concerned about for them or that you might harp on a little bit about them, they'll try to give you a better picture of how things actually were that maybe showed they suffered less than you might worry that they suffered, kind of thing. What she's telling me, because I've had a lot of feelings of compassion for her, like how terrifying that must have been for her. I assume that she had hope that she was going to get better. She was doing treatment. She lost her hair because she would have done chemo. So to find out that you're still not going to survive this, I assume she must have been terrified, which is part of my upset about not being around for her. But she's saying that she was ready. So I appreciate that because that wasn't my assumption. Now she's saying that I'm a worrywart. She's saying because I was thinking that things were better than they were, and then I found out that they were pretty tragic. But she's adding it wasn't as awful as usually people think. Now she's showing a visual of her husband and him having been by her side for all of this, and a close friend of hers of many years who showed up for her. And I'm just seeing the two of them. And I know that the two of them were there when she passed in hospice. I only know that because of something they posted on Facebook. I also haven't spoken with her husband in case that part wasn't clear. So there's a lot of what happened that has been a mystery to me. Now she's playing a clip of a song that I was listening to earlier, and the line is, I don't care. What do you mean when you're sharing the means aren't necessary, she's saying. I was fully cared about and for by the closest loved ones that she had. And she's showing with her hand, like pushing away. And there were people she was also close with, but had pushed away when she was sick. And I'm getting the sense now she just wasn't up for it. She didn't have the energy to talk. She wasn't hiding. And she's saying it was just everything she could do to try to hang on as long as she could for her husband. I'm asking her, and this part was pretty heartbreaking, that she passed like a month before their 20-year wedding anniversary. She was hanging on to spend as much time as she could with him, but were you saying that you also tried to make it to the anniversary? I'm sure you did. She's showing the number 25. So my impression now, I'm getting like with recurrence that maybe she had thought she would have the cancer and then maybe get it resolved and maybe get a recurrence 5 years later and then have had 25 years with him. Am I getting that right, Lisa? Okay. And if you're looking, I'm just using my body as a pendulum to get, and this is me getting a yes. And I just like to double check just to make sure I'm on the right track here. Okay. Is there anything else you want to share about that? No. Okay. She's saying any other concerns I have to be wiped away because it feels and seems like a long time ago at this point. Oh, and she's bringing back the song I Don't Care. And I saw it doesn't matter anymore. And then I heard and I Don't Care. It's a beautiful song by M83 called Outro. I hear you, Lisa, that you're saying those circumstances don't matter now because it's been long enough and you're not suffering. She's saying seems like a long time ago. She's acknowledging it's only been a year. Some of those other things were longer than a year ago, I believe. Were you sick for a year and a half? Oh, she's saying on and off for 3 years. She also had IBS, so she had other health issues. But she didn't feel like they were going to take her out. She was surprised. It was unexpected that the cancer was treacherous. And she's having you know me, Noelle, that she would have avoided going to the doctor to get checked. Right. She's saying because we didn't have breast cancer in our family. So I think you're also saying that even though I had it, because we don't have more of a history, you weren't going to assume that you were going to get it. Yeah. She's acknowledging because we have different fathers. She assumed that my biological father's family might have been the contributors. I totally get that. That makes sense. Yeah. Really? She's trying to be funny now. She's saying she's a bit of a ham. I don't think I mentioned that before. She's making, I guess, a bit of a joke that because she had luscious breasts, that she didn't think anything would be wrong with them. Am I getting that right? Okay. That's cute that even without a body, she's still very proud of her body. Okay. Good for you. She's saying just kidding. But she didn't think that she had the risk. Yeah, thank you. But she's acknowledging also she had dense breast tissue, and it's really hard to feel lumps when you've got that. It's even tricky getting a mammogram when you've got that. If you have breasts, you may know that. She's acknowledging that. So my sense is that she would have maybe done some self-examination, but not have been able to glean from that that she had an issue. I'm seeing the visual that in her breast she had lumps already. And I believe that's actually another hereditary thing in our family of having, I don't know what it is, but anyway, that's what she's showing. And I'm only seeing one breast and I'm seeing like the dense tissue, and then she's showing like a lumpiness on top of that layer. She's acknowledging it was hard to tell. I feel like you're trying to say something like, aside from the fact that you didn't really think about dying. Is that where you're going with that? Something about much less was she actually concerned about her mortality because she was still pretty young. She passed, you were 58? Yeah, just turned 58. Now I'm being drawn to focus on her going through this tunnel I've heard of that people go through when they pass, and it being dark and then coming out of the tunnel and it's bright. I'm just aware of white. It brings me to a thought of a birth canal, and she's brought out, and I'm seeing Mama and Papa and her father. I'm seeing the dog and cat that we grew up with. We had two cats, but I'm just seeing the one cat and the dog, grandma, grandpa. I'm getting other people too. I'm seeing her just break down crying after you go through something really hard and then you're finally letting yourself have emotions about it. It looks like that kind of crying. She's saying it was a big relief to have a big release. Gotcha. Aw. Imagine coming out of almost like a slide within a tunnel, and then you pop up and she puts her hands in the air and she's like, ah. And then there are all these people and you're saying hello to everybody when she would first have popped out of this tunnel, and that she knew they'd be waiting for her. She's saying that she felt very welcomed and said to them, thank you for showing up for me in this moment. She's emphasizing she was feeling gratitude for that, that she had like a soft landing, and she's showing now going back to that tunnel and that sort of like slide thing where you come through and then you pop out, and that there was a like a metaphorical pillow right there when she came out, and that she landed on her feet and not her butt. I don't know how many people on either side of her, and she's in the middle, and everybody's linked arms and they're walking, and that she was chaperoned. And then you all kind of link arms and then walk in the opposite direction away from this tunnel through the pearly gates of heaven. She's saying that's a fantasy, but that's what it felt like. And she's showing this sort of cloud-like ethereal area. And now she's showing her in her bedroom by herself. My impression is where she felt very close to death or very aware of her impending death, and that she had some connections already. I know that she was really intuitive and she would also sense spirits and that kind of thing. And that's what I'm getting the sense of, is that she was in some way connecting with, very aware of people in her bedroom with her. She's showing 4 to 6 months before she showed up on the other side of the gate or veil. Okay. I assume that was comforting to you when you would experience that. She's saying she knew she was dying. That's part of how she knew, and that it provided comfort and support. And it also created a longing to her for the other side. Because she's saying because of her love for her husband, it would have been unbearable otherwise. The thought of not growing old into being, maybe her intention was to live until she was 83, or that's how long she thought she would live. Yeah. It was an unbearable price to pay to think about leaving her husband. I'm not going to use his name deliberately, but she's using his name. Yeah, I hear you. She's showing me that she would get visuals of him. I guess this would be like maybe 5 years later or a few years after she had passed, that I'm seeing this visual. I wouldn't say that he looks like a happy guy, but he made it through. Yeah. Now I'm just seeing him look upset and crying. And the feeling that comes with that is that this would have been right after she had passed. And I'm seeing him sitting by himself, looks like a kitchen chair, and crying, like he tried so hard to save her, that he would have done anything. And he tried everything he thought of, everything the doctors would have thought of that she was willing to do. And she's saying that she was pretty much willing to do anything. And I was just reminded by her of how much she hated getting needles. I'm feeling aware that she was willing to do almost anything would have meant she would have had to give up all of her preconceptions of things. This is what she's saying, of things that would be painful or being over medicated. Or she's showing the receiving of chemo and being flooded with chemicals. Yeah. It was a horrible thought, but she wanted to save her own fate, she's saying. Yeah, I hear you. And I'm hearing the I don't care part from that song again. I'm getting the visual of her being in this big theater, which is the visual that comes to me when I think of somebody doing a life review. So are you letting me know that you already did your life review? No? So I'm seeing the word anticipating. So are you anticipating doing your life review? Are you ready to do it? I'm getting a no. She's commenting that maybe at the 2-year mark in our time frame. Okay, I'm going to end the episode here, but I'm going to continue sharing with you next time a continuation of the conversation with my sister, and I hope you come back and join us. Thanks for spending this time with me on Mediumship Sparks. If this episode resonated with you, please like it, subscribe, rate, and certainly share it with somebody else who could benefit. If you're interested in any support I might be able to provide as you navigate your spiritual path, please feel free to check out my offerings at connectingwithnoelle.com and reach out at mediumshipsparkspodcast@gmail.com. Take good care of yourself, and I'll look forward to being with you again soon.